You heard from no one about public comments, Jeanette, right?
There were no indications of public comment for
Okay.
tonight.
Additions to the agenda. I think you have one to add.
I would actually like to add I think I put it in the report but didn't put it on the agenda. Sorry, Janet is here. A new autism, Alzheimer's, dementia safety program. I'd like to be able to talk about that for a minute. So if somebody will make a motion to add new human services program or program to human services, that would be great.
Somebody want to make that motion?
I'd be happy to add the motion to
Okay.
add that new addition to our minutes tonight.
Okay,
Or
Kathy,
agenda.
in a second.
Can second.
Okay, Lauren. Okay. Again, roll call vote. Janet, we can't hear you.
It's on mute. Yeah.
You're muted.
How is
Miss
this?
Grace,
Great.
are you in favor of the motion? Okay. All right.
Janet,
Can't
you
hear you.
unmuted and then muted yourself. Try it again.
All right, we'll go through the rest and go back to Janet. Jen?
Is it all right now?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Are you in favor of the motion to add to our agenda this evening?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Jen?
Yes.
Okay. Viviana?
Yes.
Pat? Pat, are you muted?
Yes.
Pat is muted. Yes? You okay with the motion? Okay. Lauren?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And myself. If he's muted, he didn't even hear the motion. Right?
No, he can hear.
You can hear it.
Is he? Okay, but he's muted. All right. Okay, fine.
Pat, give us a thumbs up.
Okay. All right. Perfect. After that kerfluffle, we're on to the next part of our agenda. Okay. Oh, guys, the worst part is the Zooming. I love everything else but Zooming. Okay. Minutes of August 1st. Has everybody had an opportunity to familiarize yourself with them? And Viviana will be abstaining. Alex, I don't see Alex here yet. She also would be abstaining. So if there are no corrections, I would need a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make a motion to do so.
Okay, Janet, and a second?
Looks like Pat. Okay. Good. Jen.
Jen?
Pat, are you unable to unmute yourself?
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Pat, can you put something in the chat so we can see what you're saying? Okay.
So Jen, you seconded, is that correct? Okay, all right. Janet?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Okay. Viviana?
Abstain?
That's right, of course, I said that, sorry. Pat? Oh, Pat's got a thumbs up. Okay, Lauren?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Okay, on to the next item on the agenda. Christy, would you please give us the Woodbridge Center report?
Sure. So the COVID-19 community level for New Haven County held at the medium level during the month of August. So masks were optional for all senior center programming. The Armchair Adventure Series explored Grand Teton National Park for the month of August, and attendance was a little lower because of vacations. But last Friday we had our last one, which explored the Acadia National Park, and that had really good attendance once again. And Hampton's looking into bringing national parks of the East in the springtime. The Bangle Bracelet Workshop, which was provided by Hampton Rehab, was held on August 18th, and we had good participation for that. And the craft get-togethers are a really great opportunity for everyone just to socialize and have a really good time. The luncheon in the Grove was provided by Whitney Rehab on August 25th. And this was the first in-person luncheon since the pandemic began way back in 2020. So that there was 40 participants that attended the event, and most of them stayed for the entire hour and a half and enjoyed the food and listened to Alex Santini play his music, and they just had a really good time, and many commented how nice it was just to be together again over lunch. Um, the lifestyle change program has kind of dwindled down in participants as we got near the end. We have one more class left next week, and then Monitor My Health was awarded another grant for the program, which will begin on October 4th with an updated curriculum based on the feedback that they received. And it will also include the fitness class every week and 6 sessions, private sessions with a registered dietitian. Pickleball continues to be popular, and we now have over 50 active members. I played a little bit myself this weekend, and I knew it was socially and physically stimulating, but it is very cognitively stimulating with the score. So really hits all those points. And then coming up tomorrow's Coachman's Square's annual town picnic. Unfortunately, they're unable to accommodate a rain date on Thursday when it's supposed to be beautiful weather, because they unfortunately lost 2 of their chefs unexpectedly, who are going to be leaving on Wednesday, so they'll be really short-staffed. So tomorrow we'll have the picnic as a drive-through, rain or shine. And if the rain holds off, then people can enjoy their lunch in the Grove. Pierce Campbell will still be performing his music as people go through the line. We have a lunch and learn coming up on September 21st. That'll be given by Drazen Rubin Law on planning for the future for children and adults with special needs. And this will provide an overview of the potential risks and pitfalls when planning for the future for these individuals. Lunch will be provided, and we're collaborating with the library to offer that. On September 23rd, Ilana Zaks will perform a 1-hour solo violin concert. She's a classically trained violinist who's performed in various symphonic and philharmonic orchestras across the United States and in Israel. And she recently completed her master's degree at Yale and earned the Brodess Earl Prize for Outstanding Violinist. That program is being funded through a grant from the Agency on Aging. And then we'll have another lunch and learn on October 3rd. That'll be given by Dr. Horowitz from Acuity Hearing Solutions on hearing loss is tiring. And this will focus on conserving and preserving hearing, including the consequences of ignoring hearing loss. And lunch will be sponsored by Coachman's Square for that presentation. And we had over a dozen blankets that were made by the craft group, which we were able to donate to Project Linus. And this is a charity that collects new handmade blankets and distributes them to children and young adults who are in local hospitals. Our website was updated and is now current with our current programming. Jessica spent a lot of time and effort updating it. She did a really great job. And we're looking into utilizing the Schedules Plus software program to allow participants to be able to sign up from home for programs. And the link will be accessible on the Senior Center's webpage. And then the pilot program that we've been following for the past 4 months has provided one of our clients a ride to his friend's house a total of 6 times during the 4-month pilot program. And we've advertised it alongside of our advertising for the transportation program over the last few months. So are there any questions regarding that pilot program at this time? So if not, then I'd like to request that this pilot program providing social visits to Woodbridge residents over the age of 60 be accepted as an extended service of the transportation program at this time.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to do so.
Do we have
I'll
a
second. I'll second.
Thank you.
okay?
Viviana, do you have the language that she just said?
Yes, I do.
Any discussion or?
So you said, Christy, that one client has been transported and you've tried to advertise to see if you can get more. So
Right.
there'll probably be more as, you know, the weather starts to change.
Okay.
All right, so then call for a vote. The motion that was just made, Janet,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Viviana,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Okay,
And then lastly, is grants. The center applied for 5 grants during the month of August through Agency on Aging of South Central Connecticut. Our second attempt to secure a grant for a vehicle for the transportation program was unsuccessful, unfortunately. But we were successful in securing a $225 grant for musical entertainment for the picnic tomorrow, and a $400 grant for the violinist concert that I mentioned earlier. Additionally, we applied for a $875 grant for the labor portion of Wi-Fi installation and the upstairs human services hallway with the rooms that are off of the hallway. This is really a necessity at this point. When we have programs that utilize Zoom or we need Wi-Fi for, I either have to use my own personal hotspot or Ellen uses her personal Wi-Fi also. I worked on some things over the weekend and saved them to the laptop, the new laptop, which is very nice. But usually I send them to myself in an email and I forgot to do that. So I was kind of going around kind of the town buildings trying to find a Wi-Fi spot. Up here didn't work. Downstairs in the senior center it doesn't work anywhere because of the renovation. The gym had basketball going on. And unless you're in the gym, the walls prevent the Wi-Fi from working. So I wound up going over to the library to be able to access the files that were on the laptop to send to myself. So really hoping we get that grant so we can get the Wi-Fi. And then the center also applied for a $9,500 grant for the labor portion of the installation of the projector and screen in the Woodbridge Center. The grants through Agency on Aging are very specific to that. You can request the labor, but not the equipment. So that's why they're laid out in that way. And then in addition, the center applied this month once again for the Taijiquan Moving for Better Balance funding. And if awarded, the next session for that will begin in January. And finally, a grant was submitted to AARP in the amount of $3,150 for the addition of an automatic door operator on the center's bathroom door. So hopefully we'll find out the results of all those by the end of this month.
and hopefully we'll be rolling in money, right?
Hopefully.
Congratulations, kudos for all that grant writing. Right?
Thank you.
Any
Any
questions?
questions?
Then I need a motion to accept Christie's report.
So moved.
to accept.
Jen and Pat seconded it. Okay. Janet,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Jen? Yeah, okay, yes. Sorry. Viviana,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
and myself. Okay, motion carried. Nancy, would you give us the youth services report, please?
Sure. We had a Red Cross babysitter training in August. It was a 2-morning training, and we had 9 students attend. And I already have some people who couldn't make that one but are interested in our next one. So I think I have about 4 or 5 on the wait list for the next one. So we'll be planning that. We had our 7th grade picnic on August 24th. It was supposed to be the same night that they gave out laptops at the middle school, but due to supply chain issues, the laptops weren't there on time. So basically, it was just the seventh grade picnic, but the school was open for tours, which was really nice. So that some kids came and then they got to walk through the school. The principal and the assistant principal were in there, showed them around. Kids were allowed to walk around, find their lockers, find their rooms. So it really gave them a nice sense of belonging. We had an attendance of 131 students, which is the most I've ever had in 20 years of doing these programs. So that says something. I think these kids are ready to socialize a bit, and I was glad to see it. We did have an inflatable. It looked like the Hungry Hungry Hippos game, if anyone's familiar with that, but it was on a very large scale. And we had a DJ, and kids were dancing. We had cornhole set up, some other games, pizza, lemonade, chips, cookies, and so the kids did really have a nice time. Everything went really well. So I was glad to see that. Job bank has slowed down a bit, I think because nothing was growing. We had no rain. So I really wasn't getting calls for lawn mowing or weeding or whatever. So we had a few, and we're starting to get a few more calls now for babysitting, which we hadn't really done that through COVID. So I'm glad to see that kids who have signed up to just babysit have some jobs now. So those. Students have helped with community service. They still provide tech help in the senior center, and we have just amazing help. And it's just so nice to see the relationships that these kids form with the elderly, and so patient. It's wonderful to see. And we do have some kids who will come in and sort food. The food collection for Boy Scouts will be coming up towards the end of October, and so we'll be signing kids up for that. And we had several kids at the seventh grade picnic who were really helpful, and they were helping take kids on tours and show them around a bit. And we will have some at the Living Treasure Award dinner, so you'll get to see some of the teenagers there. And we're always looking for more community service for kids as well. High school counselors set up a meet and greet for people who provided counseling service in the area. And so it was really nice to go introduce myself and meet up with other people so that, we could set up referrals and work with the school. I was happy to see them do that, and I'd like to see that continue. As far as plans go, we're working on plans for the next Home Alone course for the 9 to 12-year-olds. And some youth evening programs. I didn't set up a youth evening program this month just because we are shorthanded in youth services, and I'll explain that. Amity Middle School has their back to school night tomorrow night, and so that gives me an opportunity to go and speak to parents about what we do in youth services and welcome them to be volunteers and welcome their kids to our programs. And also I had an opportunity to set up a table at the ice cream social last week at Beecher Road School. Met lots of parents, gave out lots of tchotchkes that we received from Bodak, and we had some pens and pencils, and so it really kept me busy all night. I met some parents. I've already gotten some phone calls from those parents, so it was nice to meet parents of the younger kids. We are also going to have a speaker at the middle school in Bethany. Actually, he's going to speak at the middle school in Bethany and at the middle school in Orange. So it's being sponsored. His name is Shamil Gary, and he had played for the NFL, including the Patriots. So kids are going to be excited to hear him. He's going to talk about just setting goals and working really hard to achieve your goals, some leadership. And so the schools really wanted him. The school district is helping to sponsor. Orange Youth Services, Woodbridge Youth Services are both helping to sponsor, and also the BODAC committee is helping to sponsor. So should be an interesting morning, and I'm hoping to go to that. PTSO at the middle school is having a color run, so we are helping to sponsor that, and I can set up a table to hand out information there as well. So Juvenile Review Board, we have talked about it off and on for years, and in the past, there probably weren't enough arrests to really warrant having one here. We talked about it back and forth, but we do want to move ahead with it. So there was a meeting, Jeanette and I attended a meeting last week with Jen Byers, the superintendent at for the Amity region, And we met with police officers from Woodbridge and Orange. Our SROs were there. And so we are planning to go ahead. We had a woman come, actually she attended virtually, but she spoke to us and gave us some advice as to how to move ahead. She has lots of experience working with juvenile justice system and setting up JRBs around the state, and so she's going to continue to advise us. And she already asked me to obtain information from City of Manchester because they just set one up. And so I just got information today from them. So instead of reinventing the wheel, we can try to use some of their basics, the agreements and forms, and move ahead with that. So we'll be meeting again soon on that. Grant reporting. So I did the data collection report, and that was due August 1st, so that went in. The fiscal year 23 budget, actually, there was a little increase in the budget this year, not in our basic. Our basic went down just a little bit. So our basic grant budget is 14,000 plus our town matches that for youth services. Is an enhancement grant of $8,537. That tends to move up and down slightly depending on how many youth service departments apply for it. And that is used for the after-school guided study program at Beecher. And we also are receiving a supplemental payment this year for direct services, and that's $7,246. So I was scrambling to, make sure that goes under direct services because that's the only place we can schedule that this year. So we'll be working on that, and then at the end of the month, I have another report due, which is on the expenses for the past fiscal year. So still working on that, trying to get that together. And as far as staffing goes, Sarah Pearson, who was our program coordinator, and I had spent, good part of the year training her, and was really pleased with how she was doing. She came back after having part of the summer off, and gave me a week's notice that she was leaving to do something else. So it was kind of a surprise, and unfortunately, we're back to square one, so we are interviewing for that position. We've interviewed a few people, and we hope to do some second interviews. Jeanette and I met with a few people. But we did also need to hire some youth program assistants for evening and after school programs. So we did meet with a few people, and we'd like to go ahead and hire 2 of those per diem program assistants. We're keeping it per diem for now just because we want to kind of give it time, let them work in, and see how everyone on staff does. And then if we want to hire regulars at some point, we'll do that. So I'm hoping that you could make a motion to approve the hiring of 2 staff. Let me just get the names out so I have it correct. One is Erica Denoso, and that's Erika, and it's Donoso. And the other person is Abigail. The last name is Ganem, Ga, and then another capital Num. And I would like to hire them for the per diem youth evening program or youth program assistants, so they can help also with after school program if they're available, although most of the time they're not available because they do work also. So would someone like to make a motion to hire them?
Nancy,
Yes.
you were going to add in the rate.
Yes, so the rate is $15.43 per hour.
Anyone wants to make that motion?
So moved.
Pat, okay, and a second.
I'll second it.
Janet, okay. Janet,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Viviana,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
and myself. Okay,
Thank you.
all set.
All right.
And
So
I
I
will
have-
also need a motion though. Your report is,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Actually, I just
Any
wanted to add one
questions?
thing.
Yes.
When Nancy reported on the JRB, she referenced the Orange police officers and Woodbridge. We also had a representative from Bethany, so everyone was represented and the plan is to meet again and go forward. So just wanted to add in, it was all 3 towns.
I think I failed to say it's a regional JRB, so that we can combine all 3 towns.
Excellent. Thanks,
Sure.
Jeanette.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll need a motion to accept Nancy's youth services report.
I'll make a motion to accept the report.
Okay, Viviana, and a second.
I can second.
Okay, Kathy. All right. Janet,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Viviana,
Yeah.
Pat,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
and myself. Yes. Okay. Nat, would you like to give us the human services report, please?
Yes, as soon as I get my notes straight.
Okay.
Viviana, I hope you've got this. Okay, which you always do. Okay. So, senior center renovation, my favorite topic. My favorite topic today because they started today.
Oh, good.
Um,
Yay.
It's really exciting. We had a preliminary meeting for what passes as the building committee. Almost all of us were there, and we did that on Friday. And the builders and their foreman and the architect and Tony Genovese and Susan and Brad Parsons were all at the meeting, and they had applied for permits already. The permits need to be signed off by the fire marshal, who is unfortunately out for personal reasons. So it's held up just a little bit. However, they were able to start with dropping off equipment today. And this week they'll work on some measuring of things. So we are starting, it's not, hammers and nails, but it is the preliminary steps, and they've ordered the mechanicals, which if anyone's done construction in the last 2 years, understand that those are the things that are held up the longest on these projects. So we want to hope that they've ordered them and that there won't be any holdups to getting that stuff started. So we talked about just making a schedule for meetings and keeping everybody informed. And it looks like they're ready to go. Anybody who ever heard me talk about when the bathroom was installed, we had a guy named Richie who was the head construction worker at the project, and he was wonderful. What a craftsman. And he's coming back to work on this project. So we're very excited that we got him back, which really means it's coming into being. We can actually, Christy and I were in there a little while ago, and they had built some scaffolding. It's kind of exciting. So that's that. That's your update, and we'll keep updating you as the project continues. The Living Treasure update. We are very close. We're a little under 2 weeks away, a week and a half away. The committee will put together the baskets this week. Next week they'll be at the beginning of the week they'll be wrapping the silverware. We're really heading into it. I stopped and picked up a bunch of restaurant gift certificates that Margaret Hamilton had worked to get us. And, the book is finished and going to the printer tomorrow. And it's pretty exciting. Tickets are being sold. Ellen is doing a terrific job keeping up with that and keeping everyone sorted. We hope that those of you who are not coming to the event can think about, Christy's going to try and do a sneak peek at some of the items, maybe place a bid on some of the items ahead of time. If, I was going to ask Viviana to do some social media work. She's always good at reposting and getting things on different sites. I think everyone else who's here tonight is coming, so I'm not going to make the pitch about buying tickets because all of you are working, and so we're really pleased to have you there. And it's hard to believe it's just so close when we started planning this back in May. So great work to the committee. The Center Building Renovation Committee, unfortunately, when the tour went off a couple weeks ago, we only had 5 companies represented, and it turns out only 4 were interested in the bidding process for being architectural and engineering firms. So the town is reposting this project to see if they can do the RFP slightly different and maybe be more specific and come up with a little bit more interest in A&E firms. Capital budget, we've got our marching orders already. It's due October 28th. And what we'll have to do here, because I can promise you it will not be finished by the October meeting. So what we'll do is I'll submit it contingent upon the commission's approval. If there's any changes, we can withdraw it and make those changes. It's usually pretty straightforward on the capital budget. Flu and COVID booster clinics. We have 2 flu clinics scheduled for those over. Actually, the flu clinics are open to anyone. Those over 65 are eligible to get the high dose. Those are October 18th and 25th. The first one is hosted by what used to pass as VNA of Guilford and Hamden. Now that business sold to Yale, so they will be running the first flu vaccine clinic, and the second one is by OVNA, Orange VNA, and they'll run the second one on October 25th. And the COVID booster clinic we have on October 13th. We have QVHD coming to supply that. Anyone who is 18 and over and is at least 2 months post having their last vaccine is eligible to come. It is just for Woodbridge residents and town employees. However, there are 2 vaccine clinics that we have access to in North Haven through QVHD tomorrow and Wednesday, 13th, 14th, tomorrow, Wednesday. One is in the morning to early afternoon and one is in the evening. If anyone's interested, they will take anyone from any town in Connecticut. So COVID vaccines are available.
Jeanette, is pre-registration required for the COVID booster vaccine?
It is. They are taking, we are doing 2 appointments every 15 minutes, and appointments are made through Ellen in the office because she's the only one with that schedule, although I'll probably get her to share the document so that any one of us could sign up for the empty slots. If right now it's 9 to noon, however, if we get a lot of interest, and I sent it out to town employees today to let them all know, to spread the word about it, and I immediately got back a couple of responses of folks who want them. So if it has a good response from the community, we'll do 9 to 4 and get a lot more people in. So we have the ability to expand it. Were there any other questions about that? And then ARPA fund, the selectmen are meeting this week, and I believe they are going to be discussing the list of potential projects for the ARPA funds that have come to Woodbridge. So I resubmitted the courtyard project, which was submitted in March and didn't get much attention. I know they're committed to doing some outdoor projects for folks, and I think this meets that criteria. And additionally, I worked with Adam Parsons, and we made a proposal for the playgrounds and ball fields in town. And you're probably thinking, why is Jeanette involved in playgrounds and ball fields? It's because we made a plan for ADA access. We had a community member address this with us about, having been in a wheelchair, not being able to access the ball fields where her kids were playing. And Adam sketched up a map of the easiest access straightaways straight from handicap accessible parking areas to the bleachers. And they're not climbing on the bleachers, but there will be a pad next to the bleachers, a flat I think crushed stone. Jen, what? You're muted.
I'm okay.
Jen, were you talking to us or?
No, yeah. I was saying,
Is who's
sorry.
coming from?
I was saying it's like a black surface. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah, so they can, but it's not just for accessibility. If you have a stroller with a kid in it and you need to get there and there's just no direct path, or you're with a walker, you brought grandma and you have a walker, so you really need access paths. So this is all for ball fields. And there was a little access problem with West River, and they're removing that barrier from the entranceways because you could not get a wheelchair through those portals. And so they're going to do that as well. And it looks like it's a good plan, and it comes in relatively inexpensively, and will make a lot more, make a difference for those trying to access points. It does include replacement of playground materials. All the 2 playgrounds need to be replaced, and 2 irrigation systems need to be replaced. So it is inclusive of all of that. What else are we talking about tonight? The autism Alzheimer's safety, the police approached us about a program to keep residents with disabilities, mental illness safe. This program would be a data collection for families with kids with autism or adults with autism, as well as those who have dementia or Alzheimer's disease. And the intake form is just, a photo and some family contact information, specifics of, is this person verbal, nonverbal, and if they don't want to be touched, all those cues that a police officer in an emergency might really need to know to keep everybody in the situation safe. So we've agreed to participate and work with them and do outreach with them. And I think it's going to be a good program. I've written to all the other human service departments in the state to see who's doing it. And I got some good feedback about the intake forms, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And we're going to try and launch that in October once we have a new newsletter cycle. And I just want to add in, even though it's not on here, but Nancy referred to it, so I want to add it here. We do have a date from the Boy Scouts on the collection date for the food drive, the big food drive that usually nets this department about 3,500 pounds of non-perishable items. And that is October 29th. So look for the Boy Scout handout that'll be in your mailbox, and spread the word that that food carries us through for a good 4 or 5 months. We've got a full pantry, and it really is an amazing amount of food that comes in. So, and Nancy talked about having the kids from the high school sorting, and other volunteers will come in. It provides great opportunity for volunteering in the community. And that's it for me.
I just wanted to add one thing. In your packet that was sent to all of you online, the two proposals that Jeanette referred to, especially the dedicated outdoor programming space. I mean, I urge you all to, if you haven't had a chance to read them, it's very exciting to think that we might get ARPA funding for it. So, having said that, how about a motion to accept Jeanette's report if there are no questions?
Just a quick question. Jeanette, do you know the name of that program for autism safety? Is it called Autism Safety?
It's called Autism Safety Alert Program. And if you, Fairfield has a program that they created with their own data inputting. They actually had kids from the high school create the software to do this. So it's a dedicated system. That one is called Safe Return. But we got this also from Rhode Island. And there's a couple of towns in Rhode Island that are doing it. If you hang on one second. Chatham, Massachusetts, and something Providence have them. So you can always look into them. And I really think it will ultimately, even if it only keeps, a handful of people safe. This also works if you have a missing person. They have that photo already. They know where the person may like to go. They're talking to the family. They say that those first critical hours are the most valuable in returning that person home safely. So having that on file really gives them a jump start.
Okay. Now, do you know if we can modify it? Are you able to modify it to your own town's needs? Like, say the child does not have autism, but they might have another condition that makes them very anxious whenever police are around or something like that. Do you know if we can modify or?
I absolutely think that they would be open to that. I absolutely think it's really about keeping people safe under any circumstances. And I think they were wholly invested. In fact, that's a great point. The way we're going to pitch it in the press materials that I'm going to be putting out should stress if you have concerns over a loved one and their safety, should they, be unattended, please contact us. And I think that's a great point, Jen. Thank you.
Yeah, this is great.
It's impossible not to feel proud tonight of all the different areas that we are branching out into to make our community a better place for everyone. Okay. Did we get?
We
No,
did
we haven't
not.
had the vote yet. We did not. Excuse me. All right. A motion to accept Jeanette's wonderful human services report.
I'll make a motion to accept the report.
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Janet. All right, roll call vote. Janet,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Viviana,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Kathy,
Proudly, yes.
yes, and myself, yes, a resounding yes. Okay, motion carried. Under old business, new business, we just have the next meeting, which is October 3rd. And I'll need
Susan, will that be in person?
it'll be Zoom, won't it, Jeanette? Still? Zoom.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Again, it always seems so abrupt, but a motion to adjourn unless there's something else that someone wanted to briefly discuss or say.
Move we adjourn.
I'll
Okay.
second it.
Okay, second. Pat and Janet
Yes.
and okay, Janet,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Viviana,
Yes.
Pat,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Kathy, and
Yes.
myself. Okay. Stay safe, everyone.